Hi, friends. It's Mrs. Van Doren, and we have a special treat today. I have Thomas over here, and I have Lovey over here. So I know the lighting's not perfect, but you get to meet a couple extra friends today while I read Hank Zipzer. So I'm going to read chapter 26 of Hank Zipzer, The Life of Me. Um, and Hank is feeling really upset that he and Zoe are in a fight right now, that Zoe is angry with him and doesn't understand um, why he was upset with Nick McKelty. So, chapter 26. That weekend, the only thing that interested me even a little bit was working on my life story scrapbook. Not to be all goopy or anything, I think I liked working on it because the scrapbook reminded me of Zoe and the fun we had working on our autobiographies together. On Sunday, while waiting for Zoe to call, which she didn't, I practiced my presentation in the clubhouse for Ashley and Frankie. At first, Frankie didn't want to come because he was still mad at me. Well, not so much mad as frustrated. He said he wanted me to set things right. But Ashley talked him into coming, and I'm so glad she did. We had a good time remembering all the things I put in there, like our first day of preschool when Ellen Kaufman tried to run me over with the toy fire truck, and Frankie had to defend me, or the day Ashley and I tried to make egg rolls by rolling eggs on the kitchen floor. Boy, did we make a mess. By the time I was done presenting my scrapbook, we were all laughing, like always. We've had too much fun to let anything serious ever come between us. The amazing thing was that I was very comfortable reading the scrapbook out loud. I didn't stumble over many words at all, and I was able to read with real expression. That was a first for me. I want to come to see your presentation, Ashley said. We should be there, Ash, Frankie said. We're the co-stars. It's on Tuesday, I told them, which means you'll have to miss Taekwondo. I'll take it up with Principal Love, Frankie said. Got anything to offer him, Ashwina? I could offer to put rhinestones on one of his snowman scarves, she suggested. Outstanding idea, Frankie said with a nod. The way to Principal Love's heart is through his snowmen. It turns out it was easy for Frankie and Ashley to get out of going to Taekwondo. On that Tuesday, Mrs. Crock came on the loudspeaker after lunch to announce that Principal Love had slipped on the cafeteria floor when one of those Velcro straps of his tennis shoes came loose. He had gone home to sit on a heating pad. Anyone in his Taekwondo class could either have their parents pick them up early or go to Mr. Rock's reading gym or Ms. Woolsey's knitting club. After school, we all went to the reading gym together. As we walked in, I saw Zoe sitting in the front row next to Chelsea Bird. Hi, Zoe, we all said almost in unison. Hi, Frankie. Hi, Ashley, she said. Wow, it was so bad. I couldn't even get a hi. Poor Chelsea. She looked like she was going to throw up. Hi, Chelsea, I said. You look nice today. Thanks, Hank. She gave me a nervous smile. I glanced over at Zoe as if to say, at least somebody is being nice to me. Frankie, Ashley, and I took our seats in the second row behind Chelsea and Zoe, just as Mr. Rock came to the front of the class. Hey, hi, kids, he said. Big day today. I'm really looking forward to each of you sharing your life story. I've put all your names in this fine New York Mets hat I happen to have. Chelsea, why don't you come up and help me draw the names to establish what order we'll go in? Let me just point out two things about what a cool guy Mr. Rock is. First of all, he's a Mets fan, like I always knew he would be. And second of all, he knew Chelsea was so nervous, so he picked her to come up and draw the names. That's what I call being a decent dude. As Chelsea picked the names from the hat, Mr. Rock read each one out loud. Okay, first at bat will be Zoe McKelty, he said. Then Chelsea Bird, followed by Hank Zipzer, with Luke Whitman batting cleanup. Now, if Luke would just clean up his nose, everything would be great. I could see Chelsea swallowing hard. She really didn't want to do this. The bottom of the lineup, Mr. Rock went on, features none other than Casey Wilson, followed by Philippe Angular, Sloan Wilson, and Brandon Clark. Did I leave anyone out? Yeah, the coolest guy here, came a voice from the door. There was only one voice that loud and obnoxious, and you guessed it, it belonged to Nick the Tick McKelty. Are you joining us, Nick? Mr. Rock asked. Yeah, Nick answered, coming in and taking the seat next to me. My dad can't get here. I think he's in Washington, D.C., visiting the president. Anyway, I'm stuck here until Mr. Love recovers from his sore rump. Well, sit down and put your backpack under your chair, Mr. Rock told him. We're about to get started with our presentations, and we need the utmost courtesy from our visitors. You don't have to worry about me, McKelty said. I am Mr. Courtesy. Right, and I am Mr. Brainiac. McKelty sprawled out in the seat next to me. How you doing, zipper dork? He whispered. By that time, Zoe had taken her place at the front of the room. She was setting up a mini boombox that had her music recorded. She had taken the drumsticks out of her back pocket and put them on the table in front of her. When everything was ready, she took a deep breath, picked up her paper, and pressed play on her boombox. The sound of her singing "The Wheels on the Bus" filled the room. Even as a baby, I always loved music, she read. The first song I can remember hearing was "The Wheels on the Bus." As the song played, she picked up her drumsticks and tapped out a rhythm on the table. It sounded great, like people's footsteps marching in time to the turning of the wheels. She continued reading her paper, alternating her words with her favorite songs. She accompanied each song on the drumsticks. A few times when she was reading, she lost her place and had to stop, but she didn't let that fluster her. Give me a minute to find my place, guys, she said the first time it happened. I have tracking problems, and sometimes I can't follow the words and I mess up totally. I looked over at Mr. Rock and could see him smile at that. He's always telling us that we should let people know if we're having difficulty reading something, that there's nothing to be ashamed of. I can tell you from personal experience that sounds easy, but it's really hard to do. You just keep waiting for someone to make fun of you. My eyes stayed glued on Zoe, just like they did the very first time I ever saw her. I was so sorry she didn't like me anymore, because I sure liked her. She was interesting through and through. So now I'm in 5th grade, she said, coming to the end of her presentation. I love music, dancing, my family, my cat Bill, wearing hats, and playing the drums. I'll end now with a little drum solo I made up myself. Then she turned her newsboy cap around so the front was in the back and played a really rocking beat on the tabletop, ending with a rat-a-tat on the bottom of the metal wastebasket. Everyone applauded. Mr. Rock put his fingers in his mouth and whistled loudly. I clapped so hard I thought my hands were going to fall off. Zoe smiled and even glanced over at me. That felt good. That's the way us McKeltys do it, Nick cheered, as though he had done anything half as well as that. Zoe slid into her seat in front of me. You did great, I whispered to her. I knew you would. Zoe didn't answer. Her eyes looked a little sad, though, as if to say, I'm really sorry we're not friends anymore, Hank. Next up is Chelsea Bird, Mr. Rock was saying. Chelsea stood up and went to the front of the class. She took out a bottle of water she had brought from home, opened it, and put it next to her on the table. I'm pretty nervous, she said in a small voice for such a tall girl. She's only in 5th grade, but she towers over all the boys in our class. I hope she's got a skyhook, because she could do some serious damage on the basketball court. You could just feel the tension pouring out of Chelsea. Her hands were even shaking a little as she took a sip from her water bottle, picked up her scrapbook, and faced the group. Begin whenever you're ready, Mr. Rock said to her. There's nothing to worry about. We're all here to make this easy for you, aren't we? Everyone nodded yes. Everyone but one person. And I think we all know who that one person was. So that is the end of chapter 26. The next time later this week, we will do chapter 27. Any thoughts on what you would do to encourage Chelsea right now if you were a friend in her class? What would you say to her, or what would you do that what might make her feel more comfortable? So you can think about that. You can go ahead and write it into your comment in Google Classroom. And my cats are feeling very lazy today, so they say goodbye to you, but they can't even be bothered getting up from their naps. So have a great rest of your day.